What up, what up? Welcome back to Boston's Banter, where the sports are wicked and the banter is Pissah. I'm your host, Frank the Bank. With me, as always, is Keith LaCava. What's going on, Rose Canseco?
Rose Canseco, man, I gotta start coming up with names, Frankie, because they're getting better each week. Still better than Tony Bromo, but hey, what's going on, buddy?
What's going on? Our fifth episode, it's been great so far. I mean, what do you think?
I think we're going very good, Frank. I mean, we're starting to pick up on some things, and people are starting to gain some attention towards our show, so I want to keep this thing going, man.
I heard from a few friends.
Same here.
Armani out in Vegas.
Yep, Armani, shout out.
Yeah, wanted to shout out. So, and we got people in North Carolina that's watching and stuff like that, so it's kind of cool. In honor of our fifth episode, I actually got us something.
Oh, so, I don't even know what it is. Let's see what it is.
It's a surprise. Keith does not know what this is.
Alrighty.
Let's get this popping off.
What? Oh, what?
Boston Banter's our first official hat.
I gotta take this out the bag and put this on my head.
Yeah, I'm doing it too.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna show the camera.
We'll get some more merch going
Bada
soon.
boom.
This is,
look at that, custom made, Frankie. Beautiful, dude.
You like that?
Thank you, bro.
No problem. Happy
Appreciate
fifth
you,
episode, man.
Yes, sir. How's the look on me, bro?
Oh, that's dope.
Yeah,
that looks good.
Thank you, bro.
I like it. I'm glad you like it, dude.
We're official.
It's official.
Sorry. We're official, everybody.
There we go.
Yes, sir.
So let's get right into Wicked Pissah news. We got some good stuff to talk about today. Why don't you give us a start here?
Alrighty, yeah. So actually, Wicked Pissah news. It's really not good news. Unfortunately, Minnesota Vikings rookie cornerback Kyrie Jackson, 4th round pick, number 108 overall in this year's NFL draft. He died in a car accident over the weekend, along with 2 of his high school teammates. He was really looking like he might have been in the running for a starting cornerback position on the team. And, a lot of those guys in the rookie mini camps, they already gained a connection with him. And they said that the way he was working was second to none, man. I mean, he was putting in the work, and he was telling the GM of the Vikings that you guys picked the best one. So it's very unfortunate. Like I said, he was a 4th round selection out of Oregon. He also spent some time with Alabama. So prayers out to all of them, not just him, but the family, the friends, teammates, everybody that knew them. Young soul's gone way too soon, especially at the prime of his life when he made it to the NFL. I'm sure that was his dream growing up and everything. So RIP to all those guys.
Prayers.
And into some other NFL news. The Titans have signed safety Jamal Adams to a 1-year deal. Now, he spent the last 4 seasons with the Seahawks, as we all know. And he actually, when he was with the Seahawks, Frank, he broke the single-season sack record for a defensive back with 9.5.
That's a good signing for them.
But after he did that, though, I'm going to say this. A lot of injuries, and he hasn't recorded a sack since.
Yeah, I mean, that's still a good sign. I think the veteran leadership will help a lot.
Oh, certainly. So. But in the last 2 seasons, he's appeared in just 10 games. So definitely got to work on that, but he is a good veteran safety. He's going to be put in there with Elijah Molden and Amani Hooker, so we'll see how they do. But the Titans are stacking up. But over to some NBA news, everybody. DeMar DeRozan traded to the Kings in a 3-team deal. 6-time All-Star pairs up with De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. Now, Frank, this trade here, the Kings, now they're up and coming. At one point, we saw them as the only professional team with the longest playoff drought for a long time.
Yep.
Now they're starting to put in these pieces, man. They're starting to look like a serious contender.
They played really good last year.
Yes, they did.
Sabonis is unbelievable.
Yes, he's a beast.
15 and 15 every night, no matter what. Like, that's just like by accident.
Right.
Sometimes he's got 30. Like, it's just crazy. That was a great move by them.
Great move. Absolutely great move. So the Kings, they received DeMar DeRozan. The Spurs actually received Harrison Barnes. It was a 3-team deal. And the Bulls received Chris Duarte and 2 second-round picks. So last year, DeRozan, he averaged 24 points with the Bulls, 4 rebounds, and roughly 5 assists. So we'll see how he does with the Kings. I mean, like I said, De'Aaron Fox, Domantas Sabonis, they needed one more guy in that starting 5 to kind of help them out.
I thought it was a great move.
Yes, sir. And on to another NBA move. The so-called Celtic killer, Caleb Martin, has signed with the Philadelphia 76ers on a 4-year, $32 million deal. Now, Frank, we all know Caleb Martin. I'm not going to lie. He really pissed me off in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, he's one of those guys like with Gabe Vincent.
It's like a flea.
Duncan Robinson.
He just was all over us.
But I'm going to say, though, it seems like every time he played against us, the dude was looking like Kobe.
He looked great.
I mean, he was shooting 50% against us in not just the regular season and in the playoffs. And he also had 4 25-point games. 2 of them were against the Celtics in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, he played his best games against us.
Yes. I mean, he's now expected to be part of a front court that has now, like we said last week, Paul George and MVP center Joel Embiid. But I'll be honest, They got to do more than just get Caleb Martin to contest with the Boston Celtics, baby.
That's a fact.
I don't care if they call him the Celtics killer. They call Bernard Pollard the Patriots killer, and every time we played him, we seem to beat him. I think we'll be all right.
We'll be fine.
And some more NBA news. Summer League's, heating up, and Bronny James. 2 games played. He missed one with knee swelling, but in those 2 games he played, and I'm not knocking him, I'm just stating the facts and the stats. 7 points in 2 games. Looking good on the defensive side, but definitely got to work on that offense. What are you seeing out of him, Frankie?
I mean, I've actually watched some of these games. I can't really say I've watched many Summer League games before, but a lot of people have actually tuned in. The TV ratings were very high. I think he's pretty aggressive on defense for, a 6'2" guy, but I think he could be more aggressive on offense. I feel like he ran down the court, would go sit in the corner in the wing, hope for a pass. I noticed several times the shot would go up. Before it even hit the rim, he was already running back on defense. So, I mean, very aggressive on the defensive rebounding and playing defense, and I thought he looked pretty good, actually, but on defense. But you got to stay and try to at least –
right.
The ball could get kicked out there off a rebound. It could, a lot of things, but he was literally – running back like it was a fast break. I'm like
thinking his shot was nice. He's getting right back on defense, not trying to crash the boards.
Yeah, I didn't understand that. Like, he was the first person back, but I'm like, the ball was still in the air, and he's already running
transitioning
back.
the defense.
I noticed it many times.
Well, like you said, though, I mean, he has looked good on defense. One of the plays I actually saw in particular, Frank, where he was actually battling with Heat rookie center Warren Washington, 7 feet. And he was battling him like he was that size.
Honestly, yeah. Well, his jump and his wingspan and everything they were talking about, but he was contesting shots. I thought his defensive aggressiveness was a lot better than his offensive.
I agree, 100%, man. And Frank, you got some more NBA news for us?
I got some NBA stuff. I got some Red Sox stuff. I got a lot of stuff. Recently, Kawhi Leonard leaves Team USA.
Saw that, replaced by Derek White.
Knee issues, and the team kind of wanted to go in a different direction. There's a lot of misconception about what really is going on with that. Derek White, deserving of a spot. He's great, obviously, the Celtics. But there's a lot of talk about how Jaylen Brown got snubbed. And
I was just going to say
how Nike's been very political and, he's called out Nike a few times, Jaylen Brown now, and he thinks that it's, if he's the finals MVP, one of the highest paid players in the NBA, you're saying that, and nothing to take away from Derek White, but he is better than Derek White.
Certainly.
Okay? And he gets paid better than Derek White. And if you were going to replace Kawhi Leonard, Jaylen Brown is almost identical kind of player as Kawhi Leonard. So there's a lot of, Nike getting involved. There's conspiracies out there. And honestly, it does seem that way to me. I mean, what other reason would you have? You know what I mean? Again, nothing taking away from Derek White. The kid is amazing. We love him in Boston. But at the end of the day, if Kawhi Leonard and Jaylen Brown are very similar.
And I thought it would have been Jaylen Brown.
In his prime. Yeah,
when I heard Kawhi Leonard was leaving Team USA, I was thinking to myself, I was like, Jaylen Brown, he's got to step right into there.
That's what I mean. It's crazy,
and it's crazy, too, because last night at the ESPYs, Jaylen Brown just won Best Championship Performance Award.
Yep.
So how is my guy not on the U.S. Olympic roster?
I didn't get it. And again, a lot of
JB needs to get the love more, man. He really does. I feel like he gets ignored a lot. I mean, obviously, he did win Finals MVP, and after Jason Tatum
he was the highest paid player until Tatum just passed him. Recently by $10 million.
There's something under the rug that we don't know about, but obviously I think he should have been there. Love Derek White, like Frank said, not taking anything away from him, but I definitely thought Jaylen Brown deserved that spot.
I agree completely. Jonte Porter, who we talked about, the gambling.
Oh, man, what's going on now,
He just pled guilty.
Pled guilty.
He pled guilty.
Didn't see that.
Conspiracy to commit wire fraud. Could get 3 to 4 years in jail, although he's been cooperating, so I do think he's going to get less.
I think he might get house arrest.
I don't know. He might get no jail time, but they're saying fines and restitution, but he could get up to 3 to 4 years in
That's
jail.
Some serious stuff, man.
So it's, but he has been cooperating and doing all the right things at this point, so I do think it might just be something where it's, house arrest or very light sentence, if anything.
Yeah, he's learned from that mistake for sure. He ain't going to be betting ever again.
Just today, an hour before we started shooting this, Jalen Brunson.
I saw that.
Did you see the Jalen Brunson?
I did.
So he signed for $156.5 for 4 years, but he was eligible for an additional $113 million next year. So I don't know who his agent is or why he did that, but he literally took a $113 million discount.
When he could have got $269.
Yes.
I saw that.
Not sure. I mean, good for you. I mean, obviously, 156 million is a lot of money.
Yeah,
either way.
right, but I mean,
but OG and Obi just got 212.
I was just gonna say that.
It's like again, Jalen. We were talking about Jalen getting paid,
right?
And he could have got paid if he waited till next year, but I guess he just wanted that money. So I just saw that like less than an hour ago. So
man, he's got all his boys over there. You know he wants to stay over there now. He don't care what he's getting paid. The money's good.
The money's
with
the
his
money
college
either way.
homies, man. He's enjoying himself.
Yeah. The NBA 2K25 cover came out this week.
Jason Tatum.
Tatum and Asia Wilson for the WNBA version.
Yep.
And for the Hall of Fame edition is Vince Carter because
Saw that.
He's up for the Hall of Fame this year. It is the first time on the All-Star edition that there is a WNBA player and an NBA player. So we got Tatum and Asia Wilson together on a cover. Thought that was kind of cool. I know we talked about the Madden cover a few episodes ago. So thought I'd bring that up.
Yeah, I don't think there's no 2K curse, at least knock on wood.
Right.
It's not wood, but I don't care.
Speaking of WNBA, and transitioning to that, the Rookie of the Year for WNBA has been heating up. And it's between Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, who, in college always battled each other a lot. And, I mean, just to go through a few things, last week Caitlin Clark became the first rookie to record a triple-double in a game. Okay, and she has become the fastest player in the WNBA history to record 350 points and 150 assists. She's averaging 16.1 points a game, 6 rebounds a game, 7.4 assists a game, and she's shooting almost 40% from the field.
Wow.
So the Angel Reese
is averaging a double-double.
She has gotten, now as of today, 15 straight double-doubles, which broke Candace Parker's record of, I think, 12 or 13.
As a rookie,
So, yeah, she's coming up on the record for an entire season, but she's at 15 in a row, which is crazy. She's averaging 14.1 points a game and almost 12 rebounds a game. So
averaging a double-double her rookie year, man.
It's been great
Good
for both of them and for the sport. Clark is at minus 600 on FanDuel for the Rookie of the Year, and Angel Reese is plus 350. So that's where we're at with that. Red Sox update right before the All-Star break. All-Star games next week. If the playoffs started today, the Red Sox would be in.
Yep.
They've been doing great. They're coming up on the Yankees. I think they're only 3 or 4 back of the Yankees. The Yankees have lost 17 of 23 games.
Wow.
One of the worst records in baseball over the last month and a half. So they're really, they're playing good. They're at 50 and 40 as of July 10th. They're 6.5 back of the Orioles, who just got swept by the Cubs. So, I mean, we're making moves. I didn't think this team would be in it like that, but we'd have right now the last wild card spot if the playoffs started today. So
I'll be honest, Frank, I didn't see that, but seeing the resiliency this team has, I mean, we've been in the doghouse, the last 2, 3 years, 4 years? I mean, obviously there was the sign-stealing scandal and all that, but, I mean, look at what they did against the Yankees in that comeback game. That just shows that the mindset they're having. They're surging right now. What was that on their last out?
It was on the last strike. Yeah.
Last strike.
Hit a home run to tie it, and then we hit another home run in extras. And
unreal.
won the game. That was an awesome game. That was an awesome game.
Yes, sir. Let's go Sox.
Yeah, the last thing to bring up really for Wicked Pissah News is I don't know if you've been catching any of the soccer, but Copa America and UEFA League championships are both this weekend. Been great soccer. I mean, soccer's not huge in the U.S. I like soccer. I've coached soccer. It's been fun to watch. I will say the Uruguay game against Colombia was kind of crazy if you caught that. But after the game, Uruguay lost to Colombia. After the game, the Uruguay team players got in a brawl with fans in the stands. They actually went into the stands, and it was a problem.
Why do I feel like I hear that every time in South America with soccer?
I don't know. Well, this happened here. This happened
I thought you were saying South America.
No, but I mean that's the teams that played. But it was actually where it was played. I think it was in the Carolinas or something. So I don't think it was out of the United States. So it was kind of crazy to see that.
Still, it happens. South America oriented, man. They take that sport seriously. I mean, you don't see me running onto Gillette Stadium, fighting
Copa America. This is the 48th edition of the tournament. Argentina is the defending champ. Messi, of course. They're back in the finals against Colombia, who's got a ton of wins in a row. So I mean, it's going to be a good game. That's actually Sunday the 14th at 8 o'clock. But before that, Sunday also is the UEFA Championship Euro. So that's at 3 o'clock on Sunday. That's England versus Spain. That's again great soccer. That's really all I got for that. But I just thought that was interesting.
No, definitely, man.
Let's move on to the Foxboro Focus. We don't have a lot to talk about again today. Once the preseason starts, and we can actually have a lot more to talk about then. But what do you got for an update on the Foxboro Focus?
So, like Frank said, not a lot, but we do have some semi-big news here, and it involves one of our star players who potentially could not be with us next season. Star pass rusher Matt Judon. Reportedly, him and the Patriots, they are not close to an extension. Now, he's entering the final year of a 4-year, $56 million contract he signed back in 2020 with the team. Coming off season-ending bicep surgery, entering age 32 after only playing 4 games.
Yep.
Now, are the Patriots going to want to pay him that big money when they're in the rebuild right now?
Yeah.
So, coming off of that injury now, I think they got to play it smart and see how he does. And obviously, if he comes back, if he gets even 15 sacks, yes, pay the man.
He plays a full season, plays well.
Right.
Why not? Give him an extension.
Don't get me wrong, too. I love Judon. The guy has played 38 games for us, and he has 32 sacks.
He's an animal.
Now, he even said to reporters that he's out for vendetta this season, meaning that he's going to come on that field with those red sleeves. I want to see him get 3 sacks in the first game. Now, like I said, Frank, 32 sacks in 38 games. So basically every game he's been playing with us, he's been getting sacks.
Yeah.
Almost. Now, I think he is worthy of getting one, but after that injury, it's a little iffy. So we need to see how he does and take it slow. Because Elliott Wolf right now, with this rebuilding stage we're in, we cannot take any chances.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense to me, too. The only thing I got is the first preseason game's coming up sooner than you guys think. August 8th, 7 p.m., Gillette versus the Panthers. So it's home against the Panthers. We're only a couple weeks away, which is exciting.
Can't wait.
So
Cannot wait.
let's jump right into Live Around. So this week in Live Around, we're going to talk more fantasy. That's kind of what we're gearing up towards. We're almost in draft time for fantasy football. So what we're going to do today is fantasy draft strategy. So I'm going to spit out some strategies to you. Talk about guys, the strategy, whatever you'd like. But there's a bunch of different strategies. And when you're drafting, obviously your strategies can change. You can implement multiple strategies. Let the draft kind of come to you and see what happens. Obviously, if it's starting to get thin at a position and you need somebody, then you might have to switch gears. But let's start off with some strategies here. One of the first strategies, which I'm notorious for doing this, or at least I used to be. I'm less now than I used to be, but running back heavy, where you basically go, your first 2 picks are running backs no matter what's out there. So why don't you give me a little bit on that?
So I think nowadays, that is actually one of the best strategies you can have, because let's face it, running backs are few and far to come across, especially the elite ones in fantasy football. So yeah, you got to take advantage of that. And then afterwards, don't get me wrong, yeah, you want to get good receivers too, but I mean, the receiver depth with the talent of elite receivers kills the running back, talent.
Yep.
There's so many more good receivers, in my opinion, than there are elite running backs in fantasy football. So, yes, I think, in my opinion, that is the best strategy that I like the most, where you go running back heavy and then you can focus on the rest of your team from there.
Yeah, I've done that a lot. I mean, with the handcuffs and different things that are going on now, I mean, in PPR leagues versus non-PPR leagues, I mean, you can definitely change that up based on what you like and how many wideouts you need to start. And, there's a lot of things that go into it. Know your scoring settings in your league, obviously. Know how many roster spots you need to have. Like mine and Keith's league are different in that I have 3 wideouts, he has 2. So it's like you got to know all that, obviously, going into it.
Oh, certainly.
Well,
like you said, with the running back, though, it's like you got Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry roughly ranked around the same place. So it's like you have that 12th pick, you get the back-to-back, or 10th pick if you're in a 10-man.
Both there, yeah.
Go back-to-back. I did that one year in my league, actually. I took Saquon Barkley and Derrick Henry.
You can do that, yeah,
yes,
absolutely.
Sir.
Let's go zero running back strategy. So kind of the opposite, where you're basically taking the leftovers later in the draft and you go 0 running back. I have a friend that does this, implements this every year, and he seems to make the playoffs every year. I mean, I think it does cost him maybe a championship here and there, but he goes real heavy on wideouts, tight ends, and quarterback, and he really does not pick a running back until later, and he just hopes for handcuffs, and he hopes for the committee to really come into play.
Right.
So why don't you talk a little bit about the zero
running
back strategy?
Zero running back strategy. Now, you're going to be doing this. You're getting a lot of receivers. You better be in a PPR league where that's going to help you out and be more efficient. Now, like Frank was saying, you're going with the zero running back strategy. Obviously, you got to get running backs at some point. But yeah, if you're going with 0 top-tier running backs and you're going with more elite receivers, like he said, he got 3 receivers on his lineup. I got 2, but I mean, we have 3 flexes each.
Yep.
So PPR leagues, very efficient to get those guys. But if you're going to go with handcuffs, yeah, you definitely want to make sure you're getting somebody who is behind a injury-plagued running back, like, say, Trey Benson behind James Conner.
Oh, yeah.
and or say a Chase Brown behind Zach Moss. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I'm not saying that's a bad strategy. Do I want to do that? No. I like getting the top-tier running backs. But again, there are some elite receivers. I mean, look what CeeDee Lamb did for Justin last season.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean?
It all depends on how the draft's going, too. Obviously, you might want to do the zero running back strategy, but if CMC's sitting there at 3 or 4 and nobody's picked them and you're the 3rd or 4th pick, you better take CMC because you'd be crazy not to.
If CMC is at the 3rd pick, I'm looking at everybody in that draft. I'm saying you guys don't know what the you're doing.
All right, let's move on to how about the balance approach where you balance wideouts and running backs?
Yeah, so, I mean, you got to, it all depends on where you land, if you're in a 10-man league, 12-man league, but, I mean, that's something, too, where I don't stray away from depending on where I am. So, it's like, for example, last year, Frank, I went with, my first pick was Justin Jefferson.
Yep.
Then on the back-to-back, I went Travis Etienne and Aaron Jones. Now, obviously, Aaron Jones had a rough year, but I was thinking I got the top receiver in the draft. Then I went back-to-back with running backs. And then I went Mike Evans and a few other receivers after that to kind of balance it out.
Yeah, the balance approach is good. I see a lot of people do that. I mean, it would be great if you had a top-tier running back and a top-tier wideout, and then you just fill in as you go.
Right.
But that's not always the case when you're drafting, but I think that's a great way to do it. What about the best available player approach? So this is basically the draft where no matter who is available, whoever's the best available, you take. Doesn't matter position. You're not even looking at position. Now, obviously, if you already drafted a quarterback and the best available is a quarterback, you're not going to be taking your backup quarterback before you get a starter.
Unless you're on auto draft
yeah,
or something.
So, but at the end of the day, you're basically drafting whoever is the highest rated player. So what do you think on that?
So I think that's kind of a foolish move, Frank. Like you just said, like if you already have a quarterback and then the next best available player is another quarterback and you're just thinking, oh, that's the next best available. It's just some people, like if they're new to fantasy, they think like, oh, I'm going to have 2 nasty. My dad thought that. He thought having 2 good quarterbacks would have helped. I said, dude, we're not in a 2 quarterback league.
Yeah.
So, but yes, that kind of does screw you because you need to look at your team first. You need to look at see what you need. I mean, if you got 3 receivers on the board that are nasty and then the next best player is a receiver, yeah, you're going to have 4 nasty receivers, but why don't you look at a tight end? Look at a running back, maybe get some more running back depth. Who knows, maybe even a late QB. There's a lot of good late QBs this season, but yeah, I'm not a fan of that strategy, Frank.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say that I don't do that, but that's usually in the later round. So I'll implement a strategy depending on how the draft's going early on. Like if wideouts are getting taken a lot, then I might have to just grab a wideout. And then, as it gets later in the draft, I definitely look at the average draft pick for like who's best available, highest rated. As the draft goes on for like bench players and stuff like that. Our leagues both have a lot of positions, so we have a lot of starters. So it's really, I try to get the best available of a starter. I'm not trying to get a backup guy.
Well, you saw what happened in my league last year. Somebody took a tight end, then it went boom, boom, boom. All tight ends
off
the board.
Quick. Yeah, well, that's another strategy, a tight end strategy. There's a lot of strategy. I mean, we're only talking about 8 strategies today, but there's a ton of strategies that you can do. And again, you're going to probably use multiple strategies. You just got to kind of figure out how your draft's going, know your scoring settings, things like that. So going back to like what you were saying about late round quarterback, so the 0 quarterback approach is basically say I'm not going to pick a quarterback until very late in the draft. So give me a little bit on that.
Well, I'm going to give Justin a shout out here, and I'm going to say, how did Daniel Jones work out for you with that strategy, buddy? But again, I think that can work out depending on who you get, because I don't blame him. The year before, Daniel Jones did actually pretty well.
Fantasy-wise, he did great.
Right, and then that year, the first game, he got Justin 3 points. But I couldn't say much because Joe Burrow only got me 3. But, I mean, if you look at these late-round quarterbacks where you could possibly get a steal, a diamond in the rough, you got Will Levis, like we've talked about, Aaron Rodgers, Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson, Trevor Lawrence, Tua. Brock Purdy's even lower on that list, which I was surprised about.
Yeah.
And Baker Mayfield. You got some guys there. Again, I somewhat go in the middle of the pack looking for my quarterbacks, but if I had to, I mean, those are some pretty good guys that you got on that list.
Was pretty good for me. I had to go. He was my 3rd. I drafted 2 quarterbacks. They both got hurt. I forget who they were, and I picked up Tua. And then, of course, he got hurt.
The concussion. Yeah. So I was playing you that week.
You were playing me close. Everything could have went wrong. So I lost 3 quarterbacks in one season. That was fun.
That's
but I mean,
scary.
To have him on the waiver wire, I mean, when he's healthy, he can put up points. I mean, I used to do that notoriously. I mean, depending on who's there, again, if I really feel like there's a value in a quarterback that should have been taken, I'll probably take him. But I have been, like, I got Dak Prescott in, like, the 14th round one year. So I was like, all right. And he was, up there in top 12 in fantasy points for quarterbacks. And, you can find some diamonds, like you said, in the rough.
Right.
Further down the line.
But I'll tell you right now, I don't care if Justin Herbert is available in the 10th round. I'm not touching that guy.
You hate Justin Herbert.
I am not a fan.
He's got Lad McConkey, though, so he's going to go off.
I want somebody else throwing Lad the ball. Justin Herbert cost me the playoffs one year. 10 points in a playoff game? Come on, Justin Herbert. Not a fan.
Skip.
Ever since. Not a fan, Frank. Not a fan.
Oh, man. What about wideout heavy? Early rounds, you're only taking wideouts. Your first 2 picks are wideouts, so that's strategy.
So I'm telling you right now, man, I mean, there's some big receivers there if you're going to go wide receiver heavy. I mean, you got CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill, Jamar Chase, like I said, Justin Jefferson, Amon-Ra St. Brown, A.J. Brown. The list goes on. Those are all top-tier elite guys. And again, you're in a PPR league and you're getting these guys that are going to be eating up targets. It's going to be looking pretty good for you. But again, you still want to make sure that you get a good, solid running back on that team. But receivers, PPR leagues, you got a bunch of them, you're going to get a lot of points.
Yeah, I mean, again, with your league with only having 2 wideouts, if you can get 2 top-tier wideouts, I mean, you don't got to worry about nothing else.
Really. I mean, you could have the third in your flex spot, obviously.
Well, no, I'm saying, but like those 2 positions are good. So then the rest of your draft, you can just be like best available, like whatever I want to do. And I mean, I do like that. I mean, and again, you can do that with 3 wideouts. A lot of leagues have 3 wideouts, 2 running back, 1 flex, 1 tight end. We have a lot of flexes. We have, I mean, from a draft standpoint, you have a 12-team league. I have a 10-team, so I do have 1 extra position. Almost the exact amount of guys are drafted between both our leagues. I mean, I think it's like a 10-person difference or something.
Right.
So it works out. But yeah, I do see people do that in your league and in mine. They'll just draft 2 or 3 wideouts and get that position out of the way. You know what I mean? So, talking about handcuff strategy, which, I mean, that's just a general strategy. It's not really like a draft strategy so much, but that's just something worth talking about. So why don't you give me a little on that?
I'm going to give you my top 5 first for the cuffs, and I think that is a good strategy. I do like that because we're talking about guys who are either going to be like rookies, like I'm saying, they're coming onto a team where they're going to be getting some potential because of the guys they're behind either being injury-plagued or getting up there in age. Right. So I'm going to name these 5 guys right now. You got Trey Benson, Tyler Algier, Chase Brown, Jerome Ford, and Rico Dowdle. Now, I like these guys because the running backs that they're behind, okay, minus Tyler Algier, but Trey Benson behind James Conner, injury-plagued. Chase Brown behind Zach Moss, not a fully elite running back, so I see Chase Brown getting a lot of touches. Jerome Ford, he should be getting a lot with Nick Chubb's injury. And then you got Rico Dowdle, who Zeke's back, but again, Zeke, I've been hearing, hasn't been looking good in camp. Looks like he put on some weight. So Rico could be getting some touches. So this strategy I do like because that is, again, the definition of diamond in the rough. You're getting these guys late, and they could easily blow up.
Oh, yeah, that's a good way to look at it, too. I mean, the way I look at this strategy is if I'm drafting CMC, I better get Elijah Mitchell.
100%.
If you're taking a running back in the first round, you had better get their backup just in case,
right?
And keep him on your bench. So that no matter who it is, and some of these guys like Bijan Robinson, Algier's a great point because Bijan's going to go high.
Oh yeah,
it's like you better have the backup just in case he gets hurt.
Well, the reason I said minus him was because obviously Bijan is not really injury plagued.
But just having them in that
of course, I was going to say,
pick.
And they're a lot of times on the field at the same time.
Oh,
they run a lot of packages.
Algier did great last year.
Yeah.
Even when Bijan was healthy all year, it's just one of those things where you should have him regardless.
You know what people forget too? He's in the 1,000-yard rusher as a rookie 2 years ago.
Algier was great. I didn't think they needed to draft Bijan.
You actually, it's funny because Frank, doing the years we've done fantasy and everything, you were the one that actually got me hip to the handcuff strategy, dude. I remember one year.
You got to get the insurance, and there's not many wideouts, but there's even a few tight ends that get a ton. If they get injured, you might even want to have their backup. You know what I mean? It happens from time to time where, like, a Kelsey, you could draft their backup
Noah
late. Gray, and he actually looked good at times.
He
but,
did.
If someone is getting a ton of targets as a tight end, you can still have their backup. If they get injured, their backup's getting picked up off the waiver wire regardless.
Well, look at week 1 last year, Chiefs-Lions. Travis Kelce didn't play. Noah Gray actually had a good game that game.
He did. And again, if you're not wasting, but taking a second-round pick. I mean, Kelce was going in the first round.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? He's going, he's probably still going to go in the second or third round. So it's like you're putting all that, draft stock into him. You might as well, if you have room on your bench, why not?
Absolutely.
And then now going back to, so our last strategy we're going to talk about is the tight end early strategy, talking about tight end. So this is when you basically draft a tight end in the first 3 rounds and you get one of the top tier. I mean, there's some top tier guys, and then it starts to fall off a cliff. I mean, tight end position is a very scarce position. So what do you got on that?
So the tight end is a domino effect, like I was just telling you. In my league, somebody drafted a tight end, then all the top ones went one after the other. And now this year we actually have these guys, Travis Kelce, Sam Laporta, Trey McBride. I was very surprised, was 3rd on the Yahoo rankings for tight ends. Third.
Okay.
And then after him is Mark Andrews, got hurt last year.
Yeah.
George Kittle. Then you got Dalton Kincaid, Kyle Pitts,
Kittle.
David Njoku. That's the top 8 right there. So I'm going to tell you right now, one tight end goes, you better start drafting more of them.
Yeah, no, I like that. I'm surprised by that list. That's crazy. Kittle's going, what, 5th, you said, or
5th
6th?
Overall out of the tight ends. They have Trey McBride at number
Over
3.
Kittle?
And I had it in PPR format as well.
Okay.
Yeah, isn't that threw me off?
Yeah, I would have thought Kittle would have been like 3
I
or
had
4.
to double check, make sure it was like PPR and all
I mean,
that stuff.
those mock drafts could change as well, but that's just wild.
With them having Marvin Harrison Jr., come on, man.
I mean, McBride looked good when he played, but I mean, they're gonna
tight
play
end overall.
But 3rd overall, yeah.
I think
that's a reach.
Volume might have something to do with that because they barely have anybody behind them on the tight end depth chart. Zach Ertz is gone.
Ertz is gone. Yeah,
Yeah,
McBride's good. He's a good player, but
No, I'm not.
I
Yeah,
just
definitely
can't-
not take. But I was 3rd overall.
I would go
3rd
more
overall for
like
tight ends.
somebody that is going to be consistent just in case. I mean, he could go off and go crazy. but
Right.
I don't know. Like you said, Marvin Harrison's they're going to eat up a lot of them targets
Right,
as
and
well.
then also
so.
their mobile quarterback, and then they got the 2 running backs. And
They're
Connor
going to run a lot. Yeah, they like
Trey
to run.
Benson.
Yeah.
So
And
we'll see
then-
what happens.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's pretty much it for today. You got anything else you want to talk about?
That should cover it all, Frankie. Another good show.
Awesome, man. Appreciate it. This has been great.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you for the hat,
No
sir.
problem, brother. From Beantown to your town, stay wicked, Pissah, everybody.
From the TD Garden to your garden, thanks for listening, everybody. See you next week.